What's going on, people? Today I'm going to talk about my top 5 jazz band director songs that should be playing for their students. Yo, welcome to the Trumpet Studio. I'm Ricio. I post weekly videos about trumpet specific things, usually geared towards the band director. However, today we're going to talk about my top 5 for a playlist for band directors to play for their students. So when you're doing your role or when you're doing attendance, whatever you call it, where you are, when you're doing that, something to be playing for your students. And I rank these in this order because I feel like they're the most effective for communicating the ideas for new students. And it kind of goes against the traditional norms of jazz playlist. Number 5 on my list is from the Frank Sinatra book. It is Luck Be a Lady. It was very successful in the 60s and also used a lot in the Vegas casino sounds in movies. In terms of composition and arrangement, the strings and the key changes and the overall trajectory of the momentum of the composition is amazing. And even though it's something that people might be exposed to via movies, it's also a great thing for young jazz musicians to incorporate to their listening palette. Just because there's so many elements, so many nuances, and there's so much theme and development created with the compositional techniques. Number 4 on my list for band directors and for jazz students is going to be Kind of Blue by Miles Davis. This is a amazing album. I feel like you probably don't even need me to have this on the list for you to know about it. However, it's ranked 4th on my list because I like the elements of blue, the ensemble playing elements, to be introduced to the students early on, so they have the nuances. So they have the blues and bebop and all the other fundamental elements of playing involved that are a part of the recording that has to offer, and the more stylistic things that are brought into the mix for Kind of Blue, where I think will be good to add in later. That's just a personal preference. I know the Jazz Police are like on the way to my door right now because I'm saying this, but I would prefer for students and band directors to have a part of their listening before Kind of Blue. All right, number 3, we have Thad Jones and Mel Lewis Orchestra live at the Village Vanguard. Specifically, the recording of Don't Get Sassy. This is one of my favorites, but it's also one of those compositions where there's a lot of ensemble elements. Each instrument has like some of its better qualities being explored, and the solos are great. And so this will be a good one for the big band and the combo because so much information is translated in that song. Don't Get Sassy is also one of those brilliant shuffle feels, so this will be a good introduction to shuffles if your students haven't learned that yet. The band is featuring Thad Jones, of course, Brock Bookmeyer, Snooky Young, Jerome Richardson, Pepper Adams. It's like an all-star lineup of cats, and they are playing the absolute hell out of this music. So make sure and check this out and let your students get exposed to this type of playing. The shout sections and the three composed elements of this are just like some of those premier level big band writing, and so your students will need to have that exposure to that type of writing, composition, and ensemble play. All right, number 2 on our list, we have Duke Ellington's Nutcracker Suite. So the only reservation I have about this one is it's not an original Duke Ellington composition, which is one of the biggest things that Ellington contributed to the world, was his original composition. However, his take on Tchaikovsky will be a good gap bridging for your students. It's music that they've heard before around Christmas time, and it's also the stylistic interpretation that Duke Ellington's known for in his instrumentation and his combinations of instruments and creating textures with those instruments. So I believe that the Nutcracker Suite is a good high level thing to introduce your students to Duke Ellington with. All right, number 1 for me, I'm going to say this is probably 99% of the time going to be kind of blue, but for me and for what I think is most effective for students and creating the environment that you need for your band, whether that be a combo or a big band, I'm going to say number one should be John Coltrane's Blue Train. Blue Train featured, of course, John Coltrane, Lee Morgan, Curtis Fuller, Kenny Drew on piano, Paul Chambers on bass, and Philly Joe Jones on the drums. I feel like this is a better first number one track to have for young jazz musicians, because it deals with a lot more of the elements of their playing that they need to develop early on than what people would traditionally say with Kinda Blue. All right, and that's my top 5 list for today. I didn't include any of the actual audio because I don't want to deal with any copyright issues, of course. However, you can pause this and listen to each track from my playlist. If you want to, I'll link my playlist down below. If you want to follow my playlist on Spotify, then you could just, if you wanted to, you can just hook this up to your Bluetooth speaker or to your PA system in your classroom and hit play from my Trumpet Studio playlist if that was what you would like to do. I'll be adding more things to that list, so it'll be a well-rounded list. But for now, the top 5. The top 5 from this video will be the things that are in there. Feel free to let me know which ones you liked, which ones your students liked the most. That'd be great feedback for me to know what today's student, like the 2019, 2020 middle school and high school student, what they respond to and how they respond to it. And so any information that you can provide down below would be great. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff, and be sure to look out for my next video next week on Tuesday. I'm out.